Hi, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Against All Odds. And as I always say on every single podcast, it's purely a selfish podcast because I only invite people on that inspire me and that I'd love to talk to. So, and I'm assuming everybody else wants to listen to them talk as well. So, I've got an amazing guest today who is a complete inspiration, and I think I need to listen to what he's got to say today as well, if I'm being honest. So it's Dave Pyne, confidence coach, an absolute legend. How are you, my lovely?
I'm absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for inviting me onto this podcast, which I would like to say is my very first recorded podcast ever.
Wow.
So I'm doing it without certainty, and I'm doing it with nerves, and I'm doing it with all that kind of thing, and I'm just going to enjoy the experience.
Oh, I didn't know
So
it was your first podcast. That's amazing. Oh, well,
it
I'm
is.
really honoured that you're here then.
I said to someone yesterday, I said, I'm recording a podcast on Sunday. Oh, how long have you been doing that? I said, it's my very first one.
Yes,
How
and
does
it's
that
your
work?
first.
I said, I don't know. I'm just going to turn up and enjoy the process. That's what I'm going to do.
I love that. So I often say, you are a confidence coach, and I often say to people, when they are coaching other people, whether it's in health or mindset or anything like that, there is always a big why they're doing it and why they get out of bed in the morning. So what is your reason for getting into the mindset game, and especially confidence?
Well, I was a very confident person up to being about 12 years old. So I had lots of friends. I played musical instruments. I had a girlfriend at that age as well, believe it or not. And then my parents moved schools. I moved schools, and I didn't settle. The short story is I didn't settle. I didn't fit with the kids. I got on better with the teachers than I did with the kids, to be honest. And slowly over time, my confidence began to wear down. I started losing sight of who I was. My authenticity, as I now know, was being diluted with trying to fit in with people who I was struggling with. And that went on for a number of years. In high school, it got a little bit easier. And looking back, my anchor in high school was really my music.
Right.
The guys and the girls that I really got on with at high school were the ones who were into, at that time, progressive rock, which was quite niche. So I always had a bit of an anchor. And then moving on into my work life, because I never really had a good relationship with my dad, this was really hard because I started working where I work now, actually in the glass industry as a technical trainer. And I didn't know how to talk to men. So I come out of school already with a sort of a low confidence level. I go into industry and I don't know how to speak to men because I thought they were all like my dad, because I never had a conversation or a proper relationship with him. And again, I really, really struggled. And I don't know what kept me going, to be fair, because all of the time you've got this changing who you are to try and fit in with people, and you become very awkward. You can
Yeah.
become very awkward. You could become very socially awkward. It's very, very difficult. And the more you attach to it, I think the worse it gets.
Yeah.
The worse it gets. And one of the really bad things I fell into at this particular time was seeking external validation. So I used to work really, 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 really hard, really, really hard. And I wanted the external validation of certain managers and certain people. And the more I wanted it, the more they withheld it, the more I felt devalued, the more I felt really, really quite, my self-esteem was really low, and it was affecting my personal life. It cost me 2 relationships, which I'm not proud of. And I think what it is, Amy, I totally lost sight of the Dave Pyne that used to be alive when I was 11 or 12 years old, the vibrant Dave Pyne that used to be interested in things, that used to try things, and I'd lost sight of that. And how I became a confidence coach was, my journey's been quite a long one. I think it was nearly 25 years ago, they brought a guy into the business who tried to get all of us supervisors interested in personal development. And there were 10 supervisors, and out of the 10, I was the only one who thought there's something in this.
Yeah.
It lit a spark again for me. It was like, hang on a minute, there are people out there who are thinking differently to me. There are
Yeah.
people out there who are okay, a lot of it was academic, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all the rest of it, but it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a start, it lit a spark. And I was only thinking about it today. I'm probably one of the only ones of the original 10 supervisors who kept on with that. And I started slowly to think a little bit differently, to process my thoughts a little bit differently, to value myself a little bit more. But it still wasn't getting me where I wanted to be.
Right.
So after that, I fell into yoga. I was
Hmm.
looking for a silver bullet in yoga. So I got into a thing called Kundalini yoga for a while, which is really weird. You wear all white and wear a white hat and everything and do loads of chanting.
Right.
Looking
How
back
did that
now,
go?
I was looking for,
Yeah.
I was looking for, if I chant these things 3 times a day, all of my problems are just gonna go away. Doesn't work like that.
No.
So I did that and different styles of yoga for about 3 or 4 years. Got really fit, but it didn't fix my mind. And all of the time, I think I went through 3 or 4 depressions, just not coping with things, getting by. But if anything else came along that I couldn't cope with, I just fall to pieces again. And my wife really helped with that. Actually, I've got a really good marriage now, so she really supported me. But one night I was speaking to a colleague at work, and he mentioned Paul Mortal, we all know. And he said, "Oh, my wife watches this guy called Paul Mortal. You should look him up on YouTube." So I went for a break, and we all know the video of Paul's story at the edge of the cliff. And something just clicked,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I thought, I need to get into this. And really, after that,
Mm.
I think once I started to realize, if I look back at what my original personal values were, if I try and go back and rediscover the Dave Pyne that used to be vibrant and open to things, then that's still available to me. It's not really gone away. All that's happened is a big mist has come down and all this external validation stuff that I'm looking for. I can get rid of all that. I can
Mm.
start to validate myself. So, yeah, I went through the 28-day unstoppable. I went through the transformation. And now, as you know yourself, same
Yeah.
as you, I'm in alliance because we all do need a coach, whether you're a coach or not, we all do need a
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
And that's really why I think now I've been through that process and I'm a completely different person to what I was 3 or 4 years ago. It's almost like a calling or a need
Mm.
to take my particular skills and what I've learned from that and other bits I've got from other people as well. It's almost like a calling that I want to pass that on to other people. If I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
feel like this, then it's almost a duty
Yeah.
to build something that is unique, that's got my personality in it, that's got my skills, my background, my stories, and pass that on to other people. And it's I want to say it's a privilege.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And if someone would have said to me 4 years ago, you will be doing this kind of work, I would not have believed them because
Yeah,
I
I
just
know
didn't
that
believe in
feeling.
myself at all.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
At
And
all.
it's definitely one of the feeling. It literally gets you out of bed every morning, isn't it? Because it's the feeling that you could help somebody else to improve their life. That you can't put a price on that, and it's exciting.
Just having the conversation about it is actually exciting. Let me tell you another part of my story, which is remarkable, really. I've always dabbled about the guitars. See, I've got one back here. Could never really play that well. And I've always dabbled about with singing. I could never really sing that well. But the weirdest thing happened 5 years ago. Just went over to a friend's house to have a bit of a jam one afternoon, and 2 days later, I get a phone call from a guy I don't even know. His name's Norman Smith, and he said, "I'm looking for a frontman for a band." I went, "I can't sing and I can't play." He went, "Yeah, but I just want you to come for a rehearsal. I've heard you're all right." And I went, "But I've never done it before. I can't sing and I can't play." So he he was so persuasive. After, about an hour later, he phoned me back and he said, "Are you going to come?" And I said, "Yeah." So 2 days later, I turned up after work. Didn't know anybody, so I'd already got a bit of social anxiety going on. He gave me a microphone. He said, "Right, what do you know how to sing?" And at that point, you realize that you know lots of songs, but you don't know all the songs.
Yeah,
So I can't
yeah.
remember the first. You know lots of songs, but you don't know them. So I turned up with my guitar and I'm having a go, and I'm thinking, this is crap. This is not good, and I can't sing properly. Can't sing properly. And then he said, yeah, he said, you can join if you want. How do you feel about being a front man? And I'm like, are you serious? Because this guy has got almost 40 years in the business. He's met some really, really played with some really famous people. And I'm like, are you sure you want to put me out at front? But he saw something in me that I couldn't see. He saw something in me that inspired him to roll that dice and to give me a chance. And at that time as well, because of my anxiety, I'd also got what's called muscle tension dysphonia. So when I got anxious, my speaking voice used to crack and my voice used to sound like that. So awful. It took nearly 10 years to get over that, by the way, and I still exercise my voice every day. But he gave me a chance, and I always remember the first time I went out on stage and I'd got lyric sheets all around my feet because I couldn't remember the words. There were about 8 people in the audience. And I went out and looking back, it would have been pretty poor, I think. But it felt right.
Yeah.
It felt like this is a part of me that I've discovered. I like this interaction with an audience. I like this energy. I like this. I'm giving something. People are enjoying this. And over the last 5, I took vocal lessons for 3 years with a really good vocal coach. I think they got frustrated with me because of this muscle tension dysphonia. A lot of the things they wanted me to do, I couldn't do it. So I took all the lessons around that. And I have to speak all day now. I have to speak all day, sometimes for 7 or 8 hours a day, and it doesn't bother me. But the journey's been really empowering. And I think the key thing is, and with a lot of my clients, is finding out what those things are and asking clients to really rediscover the base things that make them who they are, the things that the core values that if you get those right and you reconnect with them, I think your confidence journey becomes a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
For me, that has been life-changing. And I've even said on stage when we're playing on stage, and I introduce the band at the end, and I'll say, am I right, Mr. Norman Smith, the man who gave me the chance to fulfill a childhood dream of being on stage and singing in front of how many people have we got in? There must be 70 people in tonight. Thank you all for coming. And it just opens your heart.
Yeah.
And it's been authentic. It really
Yeah.
is.
I think, do you know what? It's you often think like with confidence, if you have one area of your life that like knocks confidence, let's say it's a relationship, it's so easy for the other areas of your life to be affected, isn't it? It kind of spreads. Did you find that as well? And
Yeah, it affected every single part of my life. So if my wife would say, oh, we've got a party to go to at the weekend, my stomach would turn over. God, people are going to be there. They're going to be judging me. Because I had this crazy idea that everybody was like, you know, you see on the American films, hey, Harry, how you doing? Oh, I thought everyone was like that. I thought everybody's got this social etiquette and I'm the odd one out and everybody's looking like I'm some kind of a weirdo. And it even spills over into silly things like interactions that you have with people in shops. And then the voice goes, and then people think you're weak because you can't speak properly. And then it spills over into what you think people think about you. So it does, those core things when you haven't got them right, Amy, they spill over into every area of your life. And if you don't have the tools to deal with it skillfully, it's crippling.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crippling.
Absolutely. It's interesting you talk about values, because to you, what do values mean? Because if I ask, I don't know, anybody, like if I walked out the house and I said, right, what are your values? They'll all say honesty, like loyalty. They'll say this like the grey areas. But how when you talk about values, what actually are you talking about?
It's for me, values are my set of internal, I don't know if rules is the right word to use. A set of internal, almost like guidelines or structure that I install within myself that allow me to keep sense of who I actually am. That might seem a little bit deep, but I've found that some of those values you mentioned there are actually mine as well. But I've found if I live my life to those values, I can ask myself better questions when I start questioning myself. It's almost like my moral support structure.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's the way I'd call it. It's my
yeah,
moral compass, my moral support structure that is unique to me. And yeah, you can list them as honesty, tenacity, and all the rest of it. They're great, they're words, but what does that actually mean to you
yeah.
as an individual?
Hmm.
When I work with my clients now, and we go through this process, and I'll say, don't just write the words down. Really think about if you write down honesty or whatever it is out of the so many different traits you can have. What does it actually mean to you?
Yeah,
Really, at an intrinsic level, what does that value mean? Because when you start to attach that badge to it, that's when it really becomes your moral support network.
yeah.
And I think I call it deep work, and we get into that really early on. And I found, Amy, it puts some people out of the comfort zone because do we ever talk about values? Do we ever really talk about values as people? I don't think we do we?
I don't, and I think that's what I mean. Like, I think people, we're automatically programmed to go, oh, honesty, being reliable, things like this.
Yeah,
So we don't really sit and think about actually what it is. We kind of just follow what the norm is. And, you know, yeah, of course, them things will probably be on this, but there'll be other ones that probably are more priority as well.
yeah.
So we kind of follow everybody else. It's odd, isn't it?
It's easy, and it's easy just to spill out the ones that you think people would expect you to have as well. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you I'm dishonest. I'm going to tell you that I am honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that I'm lazy because I'm not lazy. I maybe tell you what I want, but it's for me, it's when you look inside yourself, it's that intrinsic moral network that you have. Like I even visualize it. It's like a support. It's like a support that I have now that I've created. It's crazy how I visualize things, but I know it's there, and I know it's there to guide me, and I know it's there to help me make better decisions. And what I really find it helps me do is what I set barriers, because I was shocking at setting barriers. I could not say
Mhm.
no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
So
we've
that
all
then leads
fallen
into the
into
other
that.
one.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
I
yeah.
look inside my little basket of personal values, sorry, it doesn't align with my values, and I'll give a skillful answer to it. It's powerful. It really is. Really
Yeah,
powerful.
that's important. So is that when you start to work with somebody, is that the very first starting point that you work with is the values?
The very first starting point is this, and I love this bit because people will come into the program. Clearly, we have a nice little chat about what coaching is about, and then because I'm a confidence coach, so I bring all the things from stage performance and everything in. So I'm trying to make it quite unique. What I do ask a client is, what does confidence actually look like for you? Because confidence is a bit like happiness. Happiness to me or you or someone else may mean completely different things. And I
Yeah,
think that is usually true at different phases of your life as well.
yeah, yeah,
So I'll
yeah.
ask the client, I'll say, what does confidence actually look like for you? If you could walk out of these sessions and you could be the person that you want to be in terms of confidence, what does that look like? And I've never thought of that
Yeah.
because I just want more confidence. Do you want more confidence, or is there something else that you need?
Mm,
But it's a foundation for it. But yeah, what does it look like? And then the second question I'll ask is, if you had more confidence, what would you do with it? So
yeah.
what would you do with it? How would you use it? How would your life change? What
Mm,
difference would it make to you? So straight away we're putting in the why and the what, really. We're not getting into the how at all. And it's creating that vision with the client, really, of yeah, I really don't know what I need to be now. I'm not where I need to be. But yeah, you're quite right. What does confidence look like for me? Because if I
mm.
just put a debt, and you get some presenters who would do this, if I was doing confidence coaching live, which I would never do, this is a definition of confidence. Is it? No, it's a generic definition of confidence. What is your definition of confidence? A client really needs to define that very early on, because that is going to be their foundation stone to work through the rest of the program.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's a really important question as well. And I was just been sat there going, I don't know how I'd answer that, to be honest, because I don't
Yeah,
have to sit and think about it, because it is a little bit like we can all come out and say, I'd love to be more confident, but how will you know if you got there? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
That's it.
yeah,
I mean,
how do you know that you've reached that stage? Yes, it makes sense.
see, as humans, we reference other people. I did some work online with she's a Harvard University professor, Laurie Santos. You might have
Yeah,
heard of her.
yeah.
She's really good. And she says as humans, we're really poor at referencing. So we'll reference external things to ourselves, but because the ego gets in the way, we see it in
Mm,
different ways. So I'll give you an example. My definition of what I thought confidence was these people who can go into pubs and just speak to anyone, people who are really, really good in social situations, people who appear
mm,
to be, they're always the life and soul of the party. They're always the ones with lots and lots and lots of friends. They're always the ones who've got things to say, the ones that people listen to. But when I broke it down
mm.
for confidence for me, my confidence was all about being authentic.
Yeah,
My confidence basically came down to being me in whatever situation that I'm being in, and importantly, being comfortable with it. Never mind what anybody else is doing, being
yeah,
comfortable in a situation, just being DP, as I'm
yeah,
known in Alliance DP, just being me.
yeah.
And that was my definition of confidence, just to be able to show up on this podcast today or anywhere else and just be the authentic person that you will see today. If I met you in the street tomorrow, exactly the same person,
Yeah.
instead of referencing what I thought confidence looked like, because that really does get in the way. Really
Mm,
gets in the way, does that one?
yeah. So our thoughts are useful at times, but a lot of the time they're not. And
No.
it's been all right. I love that quote, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
It's quite a hard thing to live by though, isn't it? Because if you think about it, it's like I don't know anybody that hasn't had self-doubt or will have self-doubt in the future, because as we grow as people, we constantly have new experiences. Like if you go into work and then you get promotion, that's a new experience, a bit more responsibilities. So confidence, you have to kind of nail that quite quickly to be able for you to kind of be okay with life's progression as well.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's the fear of judgment from other people gets in the way all the time. What will people think? What will
Yeah.
they think? My mum was great for this, and a lot of my, if you like, domestication or social conditioning came from my mum. One of her favorite phrases, well, oh, you'll look well if this happens, you'll look well if that happens. And it was all about great, fantastic mother, keeping us safe.
Yeah.
But it stunts your growth because you can come up with a million reasons not to do anything. And a lot of it was about how people would judge you, how you would look. Uh, People would laugh at you. I remember when I first joined the band, and my mum always does everything for the very best reasons. What are you going to do if they don't listen to you? I said, they will listen to me because I'm going to be different to any other frontman they've ever seen before. But I said, yeah, you will get audiences that aren't interested because you're not playing their kind of music. You've got to
Yeah.
accept. But it doesn't mean to say that you can't do it.
Mm,
But when I do the public speaking training at work, and one of the things I throw out in there is I say about public speaking is one of people's biggest fears. It's a known fact, right? What are your fears around it? So what do you fear? And the top one that comes out is looking
mm,
silly, being judged, faltering over my words, and saying it's never as bad as what you think, but people still have this intrinsic fear about the fear of failure, and it keeps us stuck. It prevents us from taking those very first steps into doing something that's challenging. Even coming on this today for me, I'm going to be honest. I wrote down about 4 pages worth of notes yesterday what I wanted to talk about, and then I woke up this morning, screwed them up, and threw them in the bin. Be authentic, Mr. Pyne. Do not go on and be scripted with Amy. She'll be able to tell. So this is the unscripted DP you're getting today. But
Do you know
yeah,
what? I love that. Yeah, I'll let you into a little secret. So when I very first started out doing podcasts, I think it was about till the third one in, I'd get like a list of questions. I'd sit there day
yeah,
before going, what should
yeah.
I ask for?
Hmm.
After the third one, I don't even come in with a list because I like it that it's a chat, a very authentic chat. We get onto whatever subject we get onto naturally,
Yeah.
and I prefer it like that. But yeah, it's interesting enough when you said about what other people think, and with it being like intrinsic. I mean, you'll hear a lot of people go, oh, I'm doing this and I don't care what the people think. But as humans, do you think that's kind of wired into us? Because I still think, you know, you could get the most confident person that will say, oh, I don't care what other people think. But there must be some fear in there somewhere for that.
I think to answer that one is that nobody is confident at everything.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What,
Wouldn't it be
what
great
one
if
of
we
the
were?
one of the things that you find when you start referencing other people's confidence is that you think that they're absolutely confident at everything. So you think
Yeah.
they're sailing through life, they've got no problems. They look at super confident with their friends and their social life. Nobody is confident at everything. There will be something in everyone's life that it becomes a challenge that they have to do with fear. It may be a job interview. Yeah.
Mhm.
It may be starting your own business. It may be recovering from redundancy and having to go and find another job. It may be having to retrain. It may be having to, as I find a lot now, having to stand up and deliver a business presentation. But nobody is confident at everything. This is in the sort of 12 months when I've been working in confidence coaching that I've
Mm.
found some people can be super confident in some areas and not even think about it. It's the old unconscious competence thing coming. Yeah, I'm brilliant.
Yeah.
That I can do that. And you quite often people will say, well, have you thought about it? I can't do that. How do you know? I just can't do it. How do
Yeah.
you know? How do you know till you try? Well, because I just can't physically do it. How do you know until you try? And it's the brain's, and you'll probably know this, it's the old protection mechanism kicking in, isn't it, Amy?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
my job
Yeah.
to keep you safe. And what you've just suggested, are you really sure you want to do that? And it's
Yeah. That
getting the
sounds. Yeah.
techniques into
Yeah.
overriding and do it without perfection. Just make that start. And ultimately to be able to almost laugh at yourself at the other side if you didn't quite get where you wanted to be, but say, okay, that's great. What do I need to do differently next time? But with confidence, I think we are a little bit wired for that. Yeah, with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
protection mechanism and the brain, it's just stay in your comfort zone. Stay in your comfort zone. We know where we are. I know
We
we're
know.
struggling. I know we're miserable. Let us just stay in the comfort zone. At
Yeah. Yeah.
least we
Let's
know
not
where.
do anything. Yeah. Yeah. We're all safe in here. Nothing grows here, but we're all right. Do you
Yeah.
think social media plays a part in that as well? Because
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
uh,
I think
it.
it's funny because I listened to a podcast coming back from. I've been working in Scotland last week, and he was a neuroscientist actually. I think I mentioned it to you, and he was talking about the distorted view we get of other people's lives. Because
Mm,
does anybody ever put on Facebook when they're really miserable? Like, I'm having a shit day today. Everybody, look, I'm miserable. Now it's like, hey, I'm out with my friends having a drink. I put one on last night. We went to see John Lydon,
yeah. Yeah.
Sex Pistols. Amazing guy, really. So I put it on. So I was proud that we were there. But just looking at social media, you can fall into that trap that everyone's got an amazing life.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a more fulfilled life
Yeah.
than what you've got. We all present, or we're all capable of presenting an idealized view of who we are, but it's not real, is it?
It's not real, and unfortunately you're so right. You know, people, if you look at a lot of people's social media, it looks like they've never had a problem in their life. You know, they don't
No.
have to get uncomfortable and they're not struggling, everything like that. And it's one of those things, I think people fall into two categories. It can either make you feel worse,
Hmm.
which is quite popular, or it can actually go, right, okay, I need to stop doing this because I need to do that better, and I need to, so you could use it as inspiration, but 9 times out of 10 your brain will go to a negative and it will beat you up like, well, you haven't got that far, look at that, everything comes easy to them. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? I mean, social media can be used for lots of good. Yeah, I'm not binning off social media at all.
Hmm.
But I do think, you know, especially over the last few years with COVID and things like that, I think it has got worse, and people comparing themselves to other people's lives, and that's automatically going to knock your confidence, right?
Absolutely, every time, because you'll reference the wrong people as well. What do you know?
Mm,
What really surprises me about social media is when people put on little memes about being pissed off, or they'll go like it's 1 o'clock and things like that. These are the people really who should be raising their hands for
mm,
a little bit of help, because if you're posting things like that, then clearly you're not. People, what not what gets me, Amy, is people laugh at it. So somebody will put on a meme, they'll go, "It's 1 o'clock," or "I'm sick of this," or "This is," and people laugh at it and support it. So it's like, oh, I'm getting, oh, great, I'm getting a response. But these are the people really who I find should be reaching out and saying, I'm not quite where I need to be, but they
Yeah.
don't.
No.
They don't. And as I found in coaching, people find it hard to raise their hands.
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult. I mean, it's like a lot of people, a lot of podcasters and like neuroscientists and mindset coaches will often talk about how negativity sells quicker than a positive.
It
So
does.
if you put
Yeah.
something positive on and the next day you put a big post on complaining, that post will do better than the positive. I mean, like newspapers and things like that
Yeah.
sell if they've got a negative
Yeah.
headline. And I just think that's a very sad way that society has gone, that we now engage more with the negative instead of going, right, what can we do ourselves that's more positive?
Yeah, definitely.
Very, 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 very sad. So with confidence, obviously it's like we've said, like it's a constant thing going through your lives, because you're going to have different challenges, new experiences, things like that.
Mhm.
So is this something that you constantly have to work on?
For me, at a base level now, I think I'm quite stable.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm quite stable. So I've got over, it doesn't matter what level in the business I'm speaking to, whether you're a CEO or I will be me.
Yeah.
I will be me. It's almost like a brand now. I can't, well, that's the right thing to say. What you see is what you get. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't try and be posh or anybody else or try and do anything else. No, what you get is you get me. I may change if I'm presenting my delivery a little bit more. If it's a higher level delivery, I won't have as much fun. But I think my base level of confidence is good, but I do like to push it. I do like to
Mm.
push it. So one of the things I've got going on next month is they've asked us to play an outdoor gig for our factory. I work in Barnsley, where a lot of the people who I don't work closely with are going to be there. And my brain is going, ha 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 ha, but you're doing a gig the night before. What if your voice is tired? What if you sound rubbish? And this what if thing.
Mm.
Goodbye. So I'll say to my brain, okay, what's your next best thought? Come on, let's have it. What's your next best thought? It might actually go really well. What do you mean it might actually go really well? What does that look like? Well, we're only doing a
Mm.
45-minute set. It's not 3 hours. So just go and enjoy it. So I think, yeah, in answer to your question, my base level of confidence and the base level of confidence of my clients has gone, it's extrapolated, it's gone up a lot. But I think there are two things you have to do. First of all, you have to maintain that level,
Mm.
but also to grow it to that next level, the challenges that are ultimately going to come into your life, you have to use the tools that you've learned to pass that test as well, because life will keep giving you the tests. And even as
Yeah.
a confidence coach, occasionally your brain will try and pull you back into the old habits, and it will say, do you really want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? And it's a case of, well, look where we were, look where I was, look where I am now. If I want to be there and I know I can do it, then I'm going to use the tools and I'm going to question the thoughts, because your brain will fire your thoughts in all
Yeah.
day long. I'm going to question it. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the journal, what I've created, it says final word. And one of my clients came back and she said, could you change that to the final word? Because it's not, it's the start of my next part of my journey. And I loved that. This
Oh,
came
I
from
like.
one of the very first clients,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's not the end, it's the beginning of the rest of my journey. And taking the tools that
Mm.
I've used and anything else that you can give me in the future, I know that I can overcome those challenges. So yeah, I think confidence is something that you constantly work on by giving yourself
Mm.
challenges. And
Yeah.
once you have the base level of confidence, I think the challenges become a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Become a little bit easier. I think because your expectations change. You
Yeah.
become less dependent on the opinion of other people and tend more to validate yourself. So if it doesn't go how you wanted it to go, at least you've done the prep. At least you showed up. At least you
Yeah,
tried.
yeah. Do you work with people like, because I find, and I fell into this category as well, you know, when things start going wrong or you've planned something and it's gone a bit pear-shaped, like I definitely fell into the mindset of, oh my God, I need certainty. So I need certainty that this is going to work out. I need certainty that I'm going to do really well at this. How do you let go of certainty? Because it's not just me, the amount of people I speak to, you know, it's that they're looking for is certain. I'll do this if it's certain that that's going to work, or I'm going to have a good time, or whatever it is.
I think the way that I get around that is I just tell myself there is no certainty. To be honest with you, that I want certainty, I want it, and I want success, and I want people to like what we do, whether it's with music or whether it's in coaching. I want people to think that I'm a really nice guy. I want all of those things. But what I've learned is, and I'm 58 this year, but I'm 58.
You don't look it.
I've learned that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's all that yoga that I did that didn't work.
I love that. I love that.
I was still crazy, but I've got no lines.
That's amazing.
What I've realized is that, and I think a lot of it came from me when I joined the band and I first went on stage. And there's another funny story around that. There was this guy around at the time who was a bit of a reviewer for bands, and they called him Mr. T. Well, I'd never met this guy before, so you can imagine what my imagination is showing. What this guy, he's the guy off the 70s TV program.
Yes.
You know, he's going to come up and when I met him, he was an old guy, and we didn't get on. We didn't go on. And he would review the performance of the band, and he would deliberately leave me out. He would deliberately leave me out, and he would go, some good voices in the band, and he would never mention me. To be fair, I wasn't that good. So he could have been a lot worse. He could have said the singer's crap, the frontman's rubbish. But I was still in my transformation at that time, and I took it very, very personally. I took it very personally. But then as I started to work with Paul and listen to other people and start to read things, it was like, well, if you want him to think, it wasn't so much about what he thought, but clearly you're not quite getting there, are you? So what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do to change that? Not for him, but for me. So then we got into the vocal lessons. Then we started to work on the MTD, muscle tension dysphonia, and got better at it. And what I learned from that, I learned so much from being in this band with it, is that you're never as bad as what you will beat yourself up more than anyone else will. If you're, and I use the analogy of the music. If you're on that stage and you're not performing to your standard, you will beat yourself up more than the audience will. Especially when they've had a few drinks, because they lose their critique a little bit. You will beat yourself up more. Keep showing up, because you will get better. And do it without any expectations of perfection, because this thing we have as people about things have got to be perfect. Even you look at Christmas, my wife, she loves Christmas. You've got to have the perfect turkey, the perfect potatoes. Why has it got to be perfect? All this pressure about being perfect, when really it's being honest enough with yourself and confident enough in yourself to say, you know what, regardless of what happens, I'm okay with it. I can always skillfully look at what went well, because even if it's really rubbish, there will be some things that went really, really well. I coached a guy last year for his business presentation on a one-to-one. And clearly, if someone's really nervous, you don't really get into all the body language things of one thing and another. But he nearly walked. He nearly walked with this guy. He nearly didn't do it. And I got him through it. And one of the things was nobody in that room is there to specifically judge you on your presenting skills. They're more interested in the message. Get your key points. Don't beat yourself up by thinking you've got to be a BBC presenter or somebody like Philip Schofield or whatever. Just go in and be you. Right? At the end of it, and this was the game changer, celebrate what went well. because the brain
Yeah.
will always tell you, oh, that didn't go well. You lost your track there. People think, no, 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 no. Find three things that went really well for you and savor those wins. And I find with a lot of clients and with a lot of people as well, is we will achieve something and then instead of just savoring it, telling someone about it, celebrating it, now we move on to the next thing
Yeah. Yeah.
with the same mindset that we had before. But if we pause and go, well, that bit didn't go so well, but you know what? I smashed that. That got a laugh out of the audience. I'll use that one again next time. Yeah. How
Yeah.
did I feel? Well, after the first 60 seconds, you know what? I didn't feel too bad. But ultimately, the big one is I actually turned up on the day and I did it. And I
Yeah.
tried and I'm still here. And nothing bad has happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of these little things, they're all there to, if you like, rewire your brain, rewire your attitude to
Yeah.
failure. It's almost like you have to get happy with failure.
Yes. Yeah. And being okay with it and just being, well, I've tried this. It didn't exactly go to plan, but either I'll never do it again or I'll do it differently or it wasn't for me. But I think it's really important about like tracking your wins, because I think if something goes wrong, I mean, I can, a few years back when like there was a lot going wrong in my life, if you don't track what's going well, your brain will just go, right, that's gone wrong. Then it'll type to something else that's gone wrong back like 5 years ago, and it'll keep going
Yeah.
back. That didn't work. And then by the end of the night, when you spent a few hours of thinking like everything that's gone wrong in your life, you've gone off like a relationship problem. It's now gone on to work, and then health, and then everything else. And then
Yeah.
it's so easily done if you just let your brain just crack on with what, or looking at the negative. And by the end of, like I say, the end of the night, you feel absolutely awful.
Oh no. And I always say beating yourself up was an Olympic sport, we'd all be champions, wouldn't we? You'll
Oh
always
yeah, yeah,
beat yourself up more than anyone else will. And then we all think we're psychic. We all think we know what other people are thinking about us. And we haven't got a clue because people are all, as we know, more concerned about themselves
yeah.
most of the time. Even
Like you
if you
said,
make a mistake, sorry, yeah, go on.
oh no, no, carry on.
Even if you make a mistake and it is something that people can have a good laugh at, yesterday's fish and chip paper tomorrow. It's people move on very, very, very quickly. People don't carry things on. You're not that important to people. You're
No,
not that important. But
yeah,
yeah,
I
the
do agree.
celebrating the wins is a big one because you start to, I think, look for more positives in things,
Yeah.
in anything and yeah, there will be some things that you try that just aren't for you. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. If someone asked me to go and play football, I don't like football, it'd be like, it's not that I couldn't do it, I just
Didn't like it.
don't want to do it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just not for me. I'm just interested in football. But if someone asked me to do something else, and I think, yeah, that fits with my values, it seems to be something that is challenging and I'll enjoy it, then I'll have a go at that. But I'm prepared to do it. And I think we should be careful with the word failure. Failure is quite defining.
yeah,
And a lot of it comes from school. You failed your exam. You didn't pass that, which means that you didn't meet the standard. Failure should almost be looked at as feedback, I think.
yeah.
Maybe change the word
I
failure to
love that.
feedback. Yeah, maybe don't
Yeah, I
use the
love
word
that.
failure. Failure is too defining,
Yeah, yeah.
I think. And
I
and
love
even,
that. I mean, it's all about the language, isn't it?
yeah,
Mm,
even just a change of a word I think, can help your brain process it differently. Failure, you're defined as a failure. You've not passed. You've not met. We hear a lot of this in business. You haven't reached the required standards,
mm,
but you've probably done a lot of things well. This is why I don't particularly like exams. I know we have to have them for qualifications, but you have to meet a minimum standard and all that. But we concentrate on what we didn't get right,
yeah,
but we forget all of the 8 or 60, 75% of the stuff that I did really, really well. And
yeah, yeah,
it can unravel you, can that? It can
yeah.
really knock your confidence.
Absolutely. You mentioned at the beginning of the podcast about external validation. Now, I know that we shouldn't look for external validation, but it is nice to hear when somebody says, oh, you've done that really well, or I'm proud of you, or whatever it is. So are we wrong for not searching for external validation, but I suppose it is searching, isn't it? Otherwise you wouldn't tell people your wins. I don't know. How do you view that?
Well, to go a little bit deep, I suppose it's an overspill from my yoga days. I like this thing about that we're actually energy. We're
Yeah, yeah,
energy. And I like to there are days when we're all quite low and we've got low energy. I think if you create an energy of abundance, so you're not craving, how can I explain this?
yeah,
I think if you're craving for validation, it will not come. If you're craving
yeah.
for it, like I was craving for it. I'm trying really, I'm working really hard here, and all you do is keep beating me up. I just want you to give me a pat on the head and say, well done. Very rarely
Mm,
did it actually happen, because I almost think that when you're operating with an energy of lack, people sense it. So people will withhold it
yeah.
because it gives them a sense of,
Mm,
it maybe unconsciously gives them a sense of power. But you're right. I think we all like to be told that we've done a good job. It makes us feel good. But the businesses that do this really well, they get a lot more from their employees, but it has to be done sincerely. I think anyone that gives you praise, it
yeah,
has to be really, really meant and given. It's better to have it once a month, once every 2 months, and it be meant in a really sincere way rather than just thrown around like loose comments. There's something that a vocal coach that I work with, and it's called shared confidence. It's called
mhm,
shared confidence, and confidence is it's actually accepting. Because believe it or not, some people you can. I've done this myself in my previous job role. I've praised people, but their self-worth hasn't been enough to actually accept the praise.
yeah, yeah. Mm,
So it can work in the opposite way. You've done a really good job there, mate. I'm really pleased with you. But you can see by the facial reactions that they're just words that go in one ear and out of the other one, because their self-esteem and probably their feedback from others doesn't allow them to process that properly. So shared confidence is when, if you were to give me a compliment, I take that to heart and I think, well, you wouldn't have said that if you hadn't have meant it. You didn't have to say that. I
yeah,
haven't asked for that because I'm not longing for it. So therefore, if you've said it, then it must be true. And then I might go off and celebrate that. I might say to my wife, hey, guess what Amy said? Guess what
yeah.
Amy said? Or anyone else? Guess what? Yeah, well, and she'll say, well, she wouldn't have said it if she didn't mean it. But the thing about shared confidence is accepting the
Mm,
compliment almost into your heart and thinking, yeah, okay, I'm going to accept that. I'm going to take that. I deserve that. I've earned that. And I think that's the difference around the energy around validation. Ultimately, though, as I teach in my coaching programs, is to validate yourself first.
yeah,
You know if you're doing the work, you know if you're doing the things, validate yourself first. Don't wait for someone else to do it. Validate yourself, because only you know if you're doing enough. Only
yeah,
you know if you're sticking on track. Only you know if you're putting the effort in. So validate yourself first. And if you usually find if you do that, the external validation comes afterwards.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. It's that thing about being your own cheerleader, isn't it? Which is
Hmm.
sometimes hard because
There are lots of different phrases for it throughout time, but yeah, that's another
yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
do think, we are like a nation of people needing validation and certainty. I think that's a big thing for people
Hmm.
to kind of overcome. But you're so right. I mean, as you say it, it just makes so much sense as you're talking. Easy to forget though. Very easy to forget unless you're constantly aware of it. And that's the
It is,
thing.
and that's the thing. And the more you work with yourself, and the more you ingrain these, I guess, whether they're values, rules, whatever you want, the more you work with it, the more your brain gets used to it. The more you find yourself starting to question it straight
Mm,
away. But yeah, validation is something that it does kind of get you a little bit out of the fear of judgment, because you're setting your own validation metrics, if you like. So
mm,
it's like, if there's something that's coming along that's challenging that I fear, what is the, well, you don't want the minimum what I'm prepared to do, but how far am I going to go with that in my, what does success look like in that first step? I may not get to where I want to fully be. I may not do the whole thing, but if I get to that point, how do I validate myself? Have I validated myself? Can I celebrate that win? And
Yeah.
these are confidence, really, as I see it, as a ladder, one step and another step. And each time you bring another tool with you onto the next step and onto the next step. So you mentioned earlier on, is it an ongoing skill? I think it is. I
Yeah.
think confidence is a skill. I don't think it's a trait. I think it's a skill that you can master given the right tools. I think anyone who wants to become more confident, who wants to get away from external validation, who wants to create a more inspired life by building those initial confidence blocks, as I call them, I think anyone can do it. All you need is the will and a good enough reason to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's open to
Mm.
everyone. Certainly, it's radically changed my life. If you'd have known me, and I say when I send my clients my bit of a testimonial video, and the opening line is, the Dave Pyne you see before you today is not the Dave Pyne that existed 5 years ago. And
Mm.
it's not. Just coming on this podcast, I would have been worrying about it for a week. I would have been pacing around in the kitchen now before I came on. I would have been, all right, I made a few notes, but I've thrown them away. I would have been scribbling things down. I would have been wondering, what are other people going to think when they see this? Are they going to
Yeah.
think, oh, that's crap, he doesn't know what he's talking about? But now it's like, just show up and enjoy the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
You know
show
what?
up
You're so
and
right.
enjoy the
Yeah.
process. Because
Yeah.
5 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to even do this.
Yeah. I
You'd have
love
been
that.
you'd have been crippled with the fear and the overthinking and the what ifs and the negative outcomes that are limited that your brain will throw at you. And now you're just prepared to shut up, speak about something that you're passionate about, and be grateful. Be grateful that
Yeah.
Amy's actually invited you on to speak about this. So again,
Yeah.
thank you for it. It's great. It
Oh,
really is.
no, thank you for coming out. Do you know what? I often think, like, where confidence is concerned and like mental resilience as well, and
Mm.
like being able to handle your emotions, like, like the kids going through like school and things like now we didn't have this when we were at school neither, but you've got to remember it was a different world when we were back at school. It
Yeah.
wasn't so busy and we didn't have social media and things like that, so the comparison wasn't there. But they're sent through school, and I get it. Like, I spoke to Christian about this. The school's there to get you through exams and
That's right.
make sure you're all right. You're never really taught about things going wrong in your life. So you're not really kind of taught what happens if your relationship fails, or you've lost a job, or you've not got
Mhm.
into the college you want, or something's gone wrong. So I look at mental resilience, and that's tied in heavily with confidence, is going to be a big problem. You're already seeing like kids' mental health just
Mhm.
skyrocketing.
Yeah.
So is confidence, when you teach confidence for an adult, is it the same as if you, let's say, a 17, 18-year-old? Would you work it the same way?
No, I don't think I would, to be honest. And it's an interesting question because recently me and my colleague have been going into, and Chris's work's amazing, by the way. What
Mm-hmm.
Chris does is phenomenal. It really is. And we've been going into schools, not talking about confidence, but basically trying to sell the business so we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
get people in. And no, I've thought about that. They're a different demographic at that age,
Mm-hmm.
16, 17, even children. Some of the principles may be the same, but I think the delivery would have to be radically changed. And I think Chris has made a fantastic job of that. He really has. Um, fair play to the man. He's got kids of his own, and super impressed. But no, I'm actually not sure how I would do that, because I'm pitching it more at professional individuals who are
Mm-hmm.
struggling. Tried to coach my granddaughter about 2 or 3 months ago, and I just couldn't get her to open up at all. I sat in the back room with her and trying some of the open-ended questions, but it didn't go well. And I said to my wife afterwards, I said, "Well, I've tried," but she went on a counselling after that a little bit later on, and seems to have helped her. But now I think you would have to tailor your delivery
Yeah, yeah.
to that particular audience, and yeah, kids, they're a special demographic. I've struggled a little bit in the college just to get engagement because I mean, I love kids. I've got 3 grandkids. I've got a son of my own who's 30, 36 now, I think he's
Mhm.
36. So I love.
Oh, we froze. Oh,
You
we're back there. We
yeah,
froze for a second there. Don't worry, we can edit that bit. Yeah, it's quite a different kettle of fish working with teenagers and things like that. And it's one of the things that I take my hat off to people that are working in that industry, because it's not an easy industry at all. And I do think confidence kind of will suffer, which is a shame. So yeah, good luck to Christian. He's going to be a very busy man. What he
he
does.
isn't. And to be fair, as you said earlier on, it is needed because the education system is there to get you through a certain level of academic achievement. But
Yeah,
it, for the modern world that we live in, with all the external influences that are coming into people's minds now about all the the diversity and all the rest of it, is we don't give the kids the tools to be resilient. We don't give the kids the tools to be able to cope with setbacks because
mm,
we're judging them on, guess what? We're judging them on failure. We're judging them on results very, very quickly. And my granddaughter's found this since she moved from the, we would call it a middle school in our day, I think, to the high school. It goes from being less fun to be more achievement based. So
yeah,
even the teachers are different. So rather than it being more like, it's fun to go to school. I remember that. You go to high school, suddenly it's all about achievements, Ofsted, exam results, and
yeah,
you're judged on that. But a big part in life about being a successful person is being able to manage emotions, your feelings, how you process setbacks, how you process criticism, how you process any kind of thing really that challenges you as a human being, and being able to do it skillfully in a way where you can turn it around, almost turn it into a win and use it as part of your confidence building strategy. But we don't we don't teach this. We see this with young kids that come into our business, and they might be brilliant technically and brilliant, but there's none of this. There's none of this, and I think it's so important to get a handle on this. It's almost like the earlier you can do it in life, the better it is. I was listening to John Lydon last night, and he was talking about his childhood upbringing, and he had a tough time, did John? He had a tough time, and the media labelled him as this antichrist
yeah, yeah.
and everything, and he's not. He's a lovely man. The way he spoke about caring for his wife for the last 5 years when she had
Mm,
Alzheimer's was it was emotional. What a fantastic man! But one of the things that he actually said was, "I look back now at my childhood, and I'm grateful for it because it made me the man that I am today." And I
yeah,
sort of turned to my wife and I went, "Did you hear that? What he just
yeah,
said?" I look back at my childhood and it was hard. It was hard. And I can now be grateful for the lessons it taught me because I am the man that stands in front of you today. And I thought, what a statement for that man to make. And
yeah,
if it's almost like then it's a paradox. If you're meant to have life's challenges and not have the tools to deal with it, do you come to it in later life? But so many people don't. So many
yeah,
people relate back to those times and don't have the ways to skillfully process it in a way that allows you to build confidence, to grow an inspiring future. And I think that's where coaches fit really, with a
yeah,
bridge between let's not dwell in the past, but let's look back skillfully and let's move into the future. But I do think I wished I had known, and we always say it, I wished I'd known what I know now when I was younger. There's a
yeah,
song
yeah,
about it
yeah,
as well, isn't there? But
yeah,
it's true.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
true. It's true.
Absolutely,
But we have to have the
absolutely.
right support and the right tools in order to get there. And it is, it's available if people just raise their hands. But again, there's the fear of raising your hand and looking, especially for men. Especially for men.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah,
yeah, I've had this.
Because I suppose it's an ego thing as well, isn't it, with a man?
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
I've had this. You know that thing that you're doing online. Your conversation usually goes like this. Yeah, it's coaching, mate. Yeah, it's not backwards looking, it's forwards looking. It gets people moving. Yeah, yeah. What's it all about then? Well, coaching's not therapy, and it's not counselling. Coaching is very forward looking, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. You will find what's inside of you, and you'll do it already. Oh yeah. And then it's usually, when I get time, I might have a look at it. So and then I'll say, well, there's nothing wrong with coming and having a conversation. It's not going to cost you anything. Just see if it's for you. Just dip your toe in, but then they disappear, and it's almost like men see it as a weakness to. That's how I feel at the moment. To actually just raise their hands a little bit and go, you know what, I am struggling with some things, and maybe if I just reach out, at least have a look, at least take that first step, you may be the person that can give me the push that I need. But it is difficult, I find, to get men to admit. They almost see it as a weakness because we were all brought up with this. I mean, you'll have heard the term grow a pair. I've heard senior people say that within our business. Grow a pair. He needs to grow a pair. What does that mean? I know what it means, but it doesn't help.
No.
It doesn't give you any tools or any strategy to grow a pair if you want it to grow up. It doesn't give you anything to go on. It just says, man up, pull yourself together. Yeah, but I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Some tools, give me something. But I think it will grow. I think the more of us coaches who put ourselves out there, the more stories we can tell, the more success stories we can put out there, the more people who speak about it when they've been through the process, although it is forever ongoing. I think it will grow because it's an area really that is truly transformational for people. If you just step into the sphere of coaching and ask for help, I honestly do believe, and I know everyone who's been through this process will say it's changed their lives.
Yeah.
And not just for 28 days. It's not a course. No, it's not something you get signed off on in the end. It changes your life.
Yeah.
Just really, as Chris is doing with the schools, taking it to the kids will speak to their parents. The parents will get interested in it. It may be some of the parents then decide to take a little bit of coaching. But we will be, or we can be, a much better society and better for ourselves and better for our partners, better for our kids, better for employees, just with having a healthier mindset and a skillful way of really coping with failure and being an authentic person, being who you are, being comfortable in your own skin.
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head there, because I think to invest in yourself is one of the best things you can do for you and everybody around you.
Isn't it?
Absolutely. So, right, I asked this question to everybody. Have you listened to any of my podcast yet?
I have, yes.
You know what's coming then.
I don't know what it is.
So this was I finished this from Javino. So he was my first guest, and I'd heard him on other podcasts where he lands this question at the host. So as soon as Javino come on Zoom, I shot it at him and just threw him completely off the ball. So Dave, tell me 3 good things about yourself.
3 good things about myself.
Yes.
3 good things about myself. I have a very positive energy. And that's not just what I've been told. Let me tell you something that someone said to me at work, who was not the most vocal person, but he said, and it right got me here, he said, of all the training programs that you've done, even if everybody doesn't remember what you taught them and everything, because you don't remember everything, they will remember you. They will remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a privilege to be able to, because nobody likes a class, to be able to deliver something that actually emotionally moves people so that they remember the experience. I love that. And another good thing about me is that I really care about the people in my life,
Mm-hmm.
deeply care about the people in my life. I'm not a person who has a lot of friends. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not the person, as I said at the party before, who hey, no, I'm not like that. But my friends, I hold them very dear, very, very dear.
Yeah.
It's my mum, my wife in particular, such a soulmate. So lucky to have her. So yeah, loyalty and love for my friends is massive. It's massive. And the third one I would say is that, and it may actually tie in with the first one. I love being in the service of other people. I
Yeah.
love having a job that allows me to influence in a good way, whether even with the band. If I get an audience that are up for it, I'm floating, man. It's like we're doing this, we're affecting these people. And I'm sort of proud to be that person who, yeah, I can be selfish like anyone else. But ultimately, if I can get through the end of the day and I've affected someone in a positive way through training, through coaching, through music, through anything, then even when I'm talking about it, I can feel it in here. It's a fire that burns. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a privilege. It really is. And I would throw another one in as well about what I like about myself is that, how can I put this? How can I put this? This fourth one, what I like about myself is that I've stopped taking myself too seriously.
Yes.
I've stopped taking myself too seriously. Uh,
Mm,
I did a 360 feedback, the old management 360 feedback things.
yeah.
Only 18 months ago, 2 years ago. One of the guys said, he said, "You're self-conscious." And I knew exactly what he meant. Self-conscious is still a little bit of, you're not who you are, you're worrying what people think, you change your behavior around different people. And I went and thanked him for that. I said, "Thank you for that, worked on it." So I am just less bothered. I'm just,
I love that. Absolutely.
and I love that. I love it because I never thought that I would recapture that 12-year-old, that 11-year-old.
That's amazing.
And it is that. So
That's
that's the
amazing.
four things that make DP, I think.
Yeah.
And it's nice. I like it. And I want more people to feel like this. I want
That's
more people to feel this internal energy, yeah, this is me. This is me. And be happy and confident in who they are. It's really important. And hopefully, well, I'm not going to say hopefully, I will help more and more people onto that path, and their transformations will be good. It will be good. And we're only just
and
getting started.
on that note, so somebody sitting now listening to this, want more confidence, want to work with you, where can they find you?
Well, I've just created my Google business page, which is Dave Pyne Coaching and Personal Development, which is available on there, which will be my main point of contact at the moment. Other than that, I am just on ordinary Facebook. I can be DM'd at any time. I will always respond. I haven't got a website now, but that will be coming in the next 6 months. But yeah, I'm open for new clients. The two clients I've had in the program up to now, I've coached about 8 or 9 people up to now, actually. But within this program, the progress has absolutely blown me away.
That's
Even
amazing.
we do little accountability checks on Saturday mornings, and it's like, hey, hit me up with your top 3 wins, and it absolutely blows me away what they can achieve just with a little bit of prompting, a little bit of it fires me up. I can feel it here when I'm talking about it. I think, wow. And I was saying, "Clients, you did that." And they say, "Oh, thank you so much, Dave." No. Who did the work? You did the
You did
work.
it.
I just
Yeah.
gave you the rocket launcher. So yeah, Dave Pyne. What did I say the name of it was? I've only created it yesterday. So it's Dave Pyne. I
Don't worry,
don't know
I
what
will
it's
find the
called.
link and we will
I've
put
said
it
it.
on social media.
I've said it anyway, so it's already in. It's already in. The man that forgot the name of his own business. What about
Because you're so excited about it.
that?
That's what
Dave Pyne, personal development, coaching and personal development. That's what it is.
that was
That's the
it.
one. So it's on there now. It took a little bit of setting up, again, out of my comfort zone. Technology, as you get older, starts to run away from you. So I did ask for help, but it's done, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it because I'm out there now, and I'm out there to help as many people as want to come forward and be helped. And again, it's a privilege, it's a calling, it's exciting, it's what gets me out of bed in the morning. And there are lots of plans for other things. Ultimately, the public speaking one is going to be big. I'd like to do some vocal singing training as well at some point, even guitar. I don't know. I just want to contribute. And
Yeah,
it's weird, because I'm 58 and I could retire in a couple of years' time. And someone asked me the other day, said, "When are you going to retire?" And I said, "I don't think I ever will, because I have to be in service. I have to contribute. I can't just stop and have a walk down to the paper shop on a morning, or go for a walk or get a dog. No, I have to contribute." And I feel like, really, Amy, I'm just getting started.
yeah,
The training job has been a platform. It's given me, and being in the band, it's given me a platform to suddenly develop all of these skills, which I'm still not 100% with. I keep tweaking them, but it's given me this platform to become the person that I am. And I was thinking, if I can do that, then other people can do that. They
yeah,
just need to, or choose to, step back and have a look. And it works. It
mm,
works. And I think it was Adam Lambert on one of the podcasts with Paul, and he talked about his process of, phenomenal man, by the way, is Adam,
yeah, yeah,
uh, the way that he did that. And Paul said to me at the end, "It's not really that hard, is it? You just need a strategy."
yeah,
And I love these little sayings when they come in. What you've actually talked about there is, it's not that difficult. And I think when people come to coaching, they suddenly realize that, no, you haven't got to pass a test. It's not an 8-month course. You don't have to be doing something for a year. You can get results very, 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 very quickly.
yeah,
And when you get the results quickly, what do you want? You want more of it.
of
So
course, yeah,
that's
absolutely.
where I'm going for the future anyway. There ain't no stopping me now.
I can't wait to see what's in store for you, my lovely. Well, thank you for being an amazing guest, and thank you for having the confidence coming on to be your first podcast. How was it? Is it you've been okay?
It was all right. You feel yourself relax after about 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
feel yourself relax. You become, as I said, the word self-conscious again. But it was amazing. I loved it. I really, I love things like this. I really do. But the old part of my brain that tries to protect me, and it's like, go on, what's your next thought then? But no, I've loved it. I've been looking forward to it. To be honest, I've been looking forward to it, and it just fits with
yeah.
everything that's happening. As I say, 5 years ago, if someone had told me, I'd have been sat in my little studio on a Sunday afternoon talking to Amy on a podcast about confidence coaching, it would have been not a chance. And yeah, what a journey. And it's a privilege for me to uh, meet people like yourself as well, and people within Alliance. It has been and still is a life-changing experience for me. I feel very grateful for it, and long may it continue.
Yeah, I'm also very grateful for it. So anybody who's listening that wants to be more confident, please get in contact with Dave. Like what you heard and seen on this podcast is exactly how he is, very authentic. So thank you, my lovely, for joining me, and I can't wait to see what is up for you next. Take care.